Hey, this is Stephen Keller, the Emotion Reset Coach, and this is a video for new clients. Some of my old clients might watch it as well, because we're going to go over a lot of resources and things. But I just want to welcome you. I want to do this video because I find often in the first session, I take more time than I'd like explaining concepts, going over things, rather than actually getting some good work done. And so I want to make this as a resource for you. If you take the time to watch this and go over it and go over some of the resources I give, it will save us some time. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. I'm happy to go over them with you in the session itself. So I want to, so I made a Google document that you should be able to access. That Google document will be linked on this video in YouTube, and this video will also be linked in the Google document as well. So either way you can find it. And what we're going to do is go over a few things on what a session will look like. Okay. So first of all, let me just change this here so we can see each other a little better. There we go. So first of all, we do all the sessions through Zoom. Now, if you're super technically challenged and you prefer to do the sessions by phone, that's fine. I prefer Zoom. I tend to find I get a little better results if we can see each other and interact better. It's just more effective. So if you never used Zoom before, you can download it to your phone, to your device, to your computer, whatever you want. If you do it, make sure you're a little bit familiar with it. Sometimes people have an issue with the microphone setting not being correct, and so they show up on the Zoom room and I can't hear them, and it takes a while to figure that out. And again, it takes time out of our session. So play around with that. If you need help, find a teenager for tech support, right? So my website is linked here. If you're a practitioner and you want additional training, you can get that a couple of different places. Muscle Testing University, which is a Patreon site, which is a kind of a subscription-based thing, is definitely the best deal. It's a monthly thing, but instantly you get access to tons of training, right? Like tons. You can also buy some training individually right here at Train with Stephen. On my website, there is a page that has a lot of resources on it that I'll often reference, okay? I often reference Brené Brown's 2 videos on living a wholehearted life. Excellent information. There's a couple podcasts on depression that have some excellent information on here. A couple interviews with Mo Gaudet, who is a Google engineer, and really did a great job at really quantifying happiness, like what actually makes people happy. Because he was crazy successful, and he's like, wait, I can't be more successful, but I'm not happy. Something's wrong. So he really did an excellent job at that. Tim Ferriss interviews a guy named Adam Robinson. Adam Robinson works for Warren Buffett, so Warren Buffett asked for his advice. 2 crazy smart people who both dealt with a very serious depression, and really one of the things to understand, it's often smarter people deal with depression more. It's just kind of a problem. Your brain can see 500 different ways things are wrong when someone who's not super bright only sees 1 or 2, right? Also, this TED Talk on happiness and the Happiness Advantage book, both by Shawn Achor, are excellent. His book goes over a lot of really hardcore clinical research on how how specifically writing things down that you're doing well or that are going well can really rewire your neurology. Excellent information there. And there's also a link to a brain supplement that I found to be very effective. I don't think the link has ordering information. If you want ordering information, let me know. But that product can be phenomenally effective for people with autism or brain damage, or helping them focus, or just all sorts of different things like that. The Mirror Bible is an excellent resource because it's a translation from the perspective that you are already enough and not disconnected or missing anything. And there's some other information out here on this video right here. In Christ is a great short 9-minute video to fall asleep at night by my friend and former pastor Bill Vanderbush. And also, if you really need to upgrade your identity, if you really need to radically change what you think God thinks about you, which can be very helpful, he's got 24 hours of teaching. Also, this teaching right here, if you come from a very legalistic background, if maybe you've been divorced and have a lot of guilt and shame about that, if maybe you're a woman and you grew up in a church where women were devalued, that's a really important thing to like kill dead. And this teaching and Chris Vallotton's book on Fashion to Reign is phenomenal with that. There's a few other resources here. This order thing for EHT results is incorrect. I got to fix that. A few other things in here I need to update. Anyways, so those are some resources for you. I did make a YouTube playlist on how to do muscle testing. I also have a list here of all the trainings I do individually. And we have a Facebook group, still more focused on like Christian perspective on quantum physics and healing, that you're also welcome to join. So when we do this session, one of the things I go over really quickly is, the way I do muscle testing is muscle testing is just a simple yes or no response, okay? And I actually need to include the video I have, 9-minute video I have explaining what it actually is that I do. If you haven't watched that, it's something super helpful to watch because it goes over exactly what I do, how it's done, gives a very good explanation of it. So I'm going to grab that right here and include it into this document right here. Boom. So we'll go back up here and include that. A 9-minute explanation. Bam, there you go. So if you haven't watched that 9-minute video, please do that. It's my absolute best attempt at explaining what I do. And if you really love the results with our session and you want to share it with other people, that video is the best resource to send to somebody. Because a lot of times my clients are like, I've told all my friends about you. Has anyone called you? I'm like, no. It's a bit hard to explain effectively. So let me do that by just sending people the video. So muscle testing is just a yes or no response. And the way I currently muscle test is I make a small effort, very shallow breathing, and I check for the muscles governing swallowing and breathing to see if they're locked down a bit or open. If it's open, it's yes. If it's locked down, it's a no, okay? And as I do that, there'd be periods of awkward silence. I'd like to have a couple disclaimers. Number one, I'm not committed to being 100% accurate. That will be weird, okay? So if we come up with stuff that doesn't make sense, just toss it out the window, right? My ego is not involved with it, but I find the more I get rid of my ego, the more accurate we can be. So that's just up front there. And as we go through this, you may have come to this session with multiple things you really want resolved or improved. Now, what I'm going to tell you from 10 years of doing this, instead of focusing on that initially, the most helpful thing to do is take a step back and take a snapshot at overall holistic health and try and form a better foundation of holistic health, something really solid. Then if you want to work on some additional projects and specific things, then you've got a foundation to work on those projects, and you'll get better and faster and more lasting results. So all these numbers that we would muscle test are just energetic numbers. So if your immune system is super low, it doesn't mean like you're about to die of cancer, okay? It's an energetic numbers that can change very quickly. The way we would muscle test what your immune system is at is, muscle testing is just a yes or no response. So it's like, my immune system is 10% or better, yes. 20% or better, yes. 30% or better, no. 20%, yes, right? So that's kind of the process that we go through in doing that. So we go through, I want to know initially what your immune system is, nervous system, brain. This is not how your brain is working, it's connectivity. So when that number is low, typically it has to do with having a hard time seeing how to move forward in an empowered way, okay? Heart is like not how well your heart is beating, it's energy of your heart. Spirit to body connection is, as you go through life and you experience a lot of physical and or emotional trauma, your spirit starts to disconnect from your physical body a bit. Okay, and so if that number is quite low, if it's like 20%, usually I say, hey, wow, does everything in life feel difficult? Like everything. And people are like, oh my goodness, yes. Like, do the laundry is difficult. Yes, everything. Well, your spirit has gotten freaked out. You have a major disconnection issue, but your physical body is still here, needing to do laundry and dishes and like handle life, right? But you're not integrated, and it makes it difficult. Okay. The stress bucket is just a way, an indication of how you're handling stress. Okay. If it's way too full, what people are doing is they're saying, oh, I'm going to do all my stuff perfectly, and I'm going to do some of your stuff too, because I see you're not doing a very good job. When it's very low, what happens is people are, I call it the Netflix and chill emotion. Okay, it's like you look at something and you're looking at it from the perspective of like, I don't think I can handle this, and it overwhelms you and you want to check out. And we'll go over this more in this session, but the reason that happens is because you're looking at something from the perspective of a slave or servant, not the perspective of a child of God. And so one of the fastest ways to change things energetically is to go, okay, well, hold on a second. Either God is with me or God is not. And if God is with me, then I'm not without the solution and resources I need to handle this. So SAFE, SAFE LOC, LOC just stands for level of consciousness, which is, quick explanation of this. This is the map of consciousness from a book called Power versus Force. And the map of consciousness quantifies different levels of consciousness from the very bottom 20 to the very top 700 to 1,000. Shame is the lowest thing you can deal with, and it has a God view, a despising, life view of miserable, humiliation, elimination, right? And so when you operate on the bottom half of the map, you're operating in force. On the top half, you're operating in power. When you operate in force, you push on things, they push back. You can get things done. It requires a lot of energy, and your value and your identity are dependent on your personal performance, how people treat you, how institutions honor you, and there's no rest in that. Now, if you can shift and start being very connected to God's unconditional love for you, what then happens is you can live a wholehearted life, because you wake up in the morning, you're like, I already know what I'm worth, because it never changes, and I can be wholehearted. What does that mean? It means I can go for it. And you know what? I'll fail, and it'll hurt, but my failure can't put guilt and shame on me. I always get back up and I can go for it again. And you can measure anything you want to on the map of consciousness, and different things will measure differently. I can measure my level of consciousness regarding being a husband, a father, business owner, my level of consciousness regarding doing this session for you. The first thing we do measure, though, is just the term safe, because there's certain aspects of your nervous system that are very committed to keeping you safe. Like if I look down on the floor, there's a snake, I jump. I don't, write out a cost-benefit analysis. And that's a great thing because it keeps me alive. But as you go through life, sometimes your nervous system will make additional decisions about what's safe and not safe, okay? And you find yourself not being able to show up the way you want to because you're freaked out about things that you don't want to be freaked out, but it's still not working, right? So it's a problem. Let me just check to make sure my microphone is still working. It is. Awesome. So that's the first thing we measure, and you'll notice on this list here, there's a bunch of other things we measure as well. So the first thing is safe. The vagus nerve is just the nerve that starts at the top of your head, connects everything down to your gut. If it's out, you have a hard time handling stress, and if that's out, we see what the underlying issue is, and then we reset it using a piezoelectric sparker, and there's a video right here linked on how to do that. A court of heaven is there's an explanation that's possible thing we may or may not do, and this video right here explains what that is. The last four things we test is your level of consciousness regarding your willingness to be a victim. What do I mean by that? When you look at things outside you, other people, circumstances, things that have happened, your inability to do something, as if it can disconnect you from God's love and peace and joy and plan for your life. And that's a problem because you pick up the mindset of a victim. The last three things are very important, and it's only in the last couple of weeks, here we are, the end of September 2019, only in the last couple of weeks I've been testing these. I want to give a quick explanation of heart coherence, coherence of intention, and coherence of emotion. If you want to create anything in your life, there's 3 steps and 3 things you need. Heart coherence means you're in alignment, you're stepped out of fight or flight mode into rest and relaxation mode. Your heart, when it gets in alignment, instead of being scattered and stressed, it will power everything, right? And if you want to change everything and your health and your ability to connect to things, this is the most important thing. When I'm stressed is a focus on and a meditation on my separation from solutions and resources. And when I do that, and I'm stressed about something, my physical body, which has many, many different systems and glands and organs that all need to work together as a team to function properly, they have a lack of coherence, a dissonance, okay, which brings dis-ease because everything's not working together, because you're just freaked out about danger in your life, okay? And if you can reset heart coherence, and there's a lot of different ways to do that, I find doing it energetically and muscle testing and tracking down the underlying imbalances is freakishly effective. When we do that, what you find is all these other things that we've measured, many of them will go ping, and everything else will come into a place because your heart is powering you, okay? So first step, you need a heart coherence to power you. Then you need coherence of intention, which is the ability to know that you can create something and that you have the ability, and then to know what it is you want to create. So now I know I can create, and I know what I want to create. And the third step is coherence of emotion, or the level and quality of emotional connection. Think of intention like emotion magnetic, combined electromagnetic. It starts pulling the solution towards you. And so you need to also figure out what is the most powerful emotion connect to, and are you turning up the emotions as if you are already living in the desired end result of what you want, and that will pull things towards you. So that is quite a bit of information for you. This last bit I talked about is from Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural. Excellent. I included a link to that, and he's got tons of videos online as well. Anyways, I hope this is helpful, saves us some time. I'm very much looking forward to you, and I tremendously appreciate and honor the opportunity to help you, and look forward to meeting you. Bye-bye.